All right. Well, I think we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, welcome, and happy fall, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us here today for the 2022 Virtual Town Hall hosted by Interfaith Food Shuttle and the Food Bank of Central and Eastern North Carolina. I am Neely Monemi. I am the manager of the grants process here at Interfaith Food Shuttle. And with me today are the operations experts at our two sister food banks. This is Melvin Acosta, VP of Operations and Logistics at Food Shuttle. And with us over here is Charlie Hale, Senior VP of Operations for the Food Bank. So thank you both for being here with us.
Happy to be here.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Well, so those of you out there may or may not know that we actually occupy a very unique position within the Feeding America network. Among the 200 food banks across the country, we are the only two that actually share our service area. We have an entirely overlapping service area. There are a few food banks out there, hither and yon, who share specific counties or may split specific counties, but we are unique in that we actually have shared coverage within our service areas. So these two gentlemen right here are a great pair of people to give a little look under the hood and give a better idea of how we make that particular ship run smoothly every day. Because as you can imagine, there's a lot that's entailed with that. So there are just a couple of housekeeping items. We're with you for an hour today, but we love to hear your questions. So if anything comes to mind during our conversation today, please do share those in the chat, and we're going to do our level best to get to those at the end of our time today. So let's go ahead with that, get started. Our partnership is actually really about two distinct missions who work towards a shared purpose every day. Would you all agree with that?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So maybe the best way to start off is to just give an overview of each organization. Charlie, would you like to start us off? Tell us about Food Bank.
Sure. Thank you, Neely. Glad to be here today. Thanks everyone for joining. The Food Bank of Central and Eastern North Carolina, our mission is to nourish people, build solutions, and empower communities. We are a member of Feeding America, just like Food Shuttle. We serve 34 of North Carolina's 100 counties. And within those 34 counties, we have 6 facilities. We have our headquarters branch, which is located here in Raleigh. We have a facility in Durham, Southern Pines, Greenville, New Bern, and Wilmington. So facilities across the service area. We also work with a bunch of partner agencies. We call it a partner agency model. And we have about 650 or 700 partner agencies across those 34 counties. We work to bring in food that's donated to share with those partners. And then we also, because of the pandemic, we have purchased more food than we ever have before. Supply chain issues, I think, continue to be a problem for everyone. When I describe the collaboration and the shared counties with the Food Shuttle, I say, the people who live in Edgecombe, Nash, Wake, Durham, Orange, Johnston, and Chatham counties, those folks are kind of double covered by Feeding America. They have, the Food Shuttle and the Food Bank, and that's a great thing. And we certainly work together with disaster relief, and we'll get into that a little later, but we're kind of having one of those situations evolving in front of us right now.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you, Charlie. Again, my name is Melvin Acosta, and the mission of the Food Shuttle, we are here to feed our neighbors, to teach self-sufficiency, grow healthy foods, and also cultivate innovative ways for us to fight hunger today. We, as the food bank, we follow the same partner model. We got roughly a little over 200 partner agencies right now in the 7 counties that we share. We do have 5 facilities that we are located. We have 2 warehouses, one in Raleigh, one in Durham. We also have 2 learning gardens. One is in Durham as well, one is in Raleigh. And we have a beautiful 14-acre farm, which we're using today to host this event. So when we look at that and our collaboration, I think that their food bank mission and the Food Shuttle mission complement each other. And that's what we were able to accomplish, what we accomplished today.
That's awesome. Thank you both for that. So it sounds like we are collaborators rather than competitors. is what
That is
you're
correct.
saying. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, let's move on into how that happens every day, because it's a great partnership, and I know that you guys know each other well, and you all coordinate very well. But there's a lot going on under the hood with that. I mean, that's a lot to manage. I mean, I see
Yes.
both of our trucks out everywhere, as I'm sure lots of our audience members do. So, Melvin, you want to start us off? I think we have something called the Operations Response Team. So you want to start us off? How do the day-to-day operations work?
Well, the day operations for us, again, as a food bank, we are 73% of the product that we distribute is recovered product, which is we work hard to reduce waste, but we work in collaboration with our partner agencies in our share area that we support them with different meal distributions. And we work together to ensure that we do not duplicate services, what it means by being intentional on how effective we're doing those items. And again, our collaboration is there every day where we're able to communicate the needs of the community and talk to each other about it.
So do you meet on a regular basis then? How do you make that work?
Yes, we actually meet every 2 months. Well, bi-monthly, we hold meetings sometimes at the food shuttle, sometimes at its location. We discuss what has gone right, what has gone wrong, what is coming up in the future, and how we can work together to continue to create a higher impact in our community.
Got it. Okay, so is there like any particular shared partner that we have that would be like a good example of how you work the distributions and coordinate rather than tripping over each other?
Yes, and this is the beautiful part of our relationship, our communication, our sharing our agencies. Right now, we have Tarboro Community Outreach, better known as TCO. They hold monthly distributions with the product provided by the Food Bank of Eastern and Central North Carolina. They hold a distribution with the product that is distributed by or provided by the Food Shuttle, and they hold a joint distribution where they utilize product from the Food Shuttle, product from the Food Bank, and they do a distribution. That way they can maximize the product that they're giving to the community, and the community can really be impacted by what we are providing.
Got it. Okay, so you guys correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like distributions, they can be standalone or they can be shared distributions or joint distributions, but we're never tripping over each other when we serve our agencies.
That is correct.
Right?
We work hard so we don't duplicate efforts, and we work hard to ensure that the product that we put in the community is in the community that is needed, so we do not overflow agencies with product, and that product can become waste.
Got it. Okay. And so another aspect of this that folks might want help to understand a little better is retail agency pickup. Can you talk a little bit about that, how you help our partners that way?
So as Charlie mentioned, he got a little over 600. I got a little over 200 retail partners. By connecting with the retail partners, we're able, with the agency partners, we're able to conduct more retail pickups, and it's increasing our capacity so we can recover more food from those retail donors so it can be distributed to the community. The one good thing about that is that because typical food banks, we work Monday to Friday, there's food sitting at the stores Saturday and Sunday. The shelf life is going to be reduced. So by us partnering with our agency partners, doing pickups on the weekend, that food can be recovered and that can be utilized right away so we can extend the shelf life. Our community can get that product, and the amount that goes to waste is pretty much null.
Got it. So it sounds like there's a food waste reduction impact there, but there's also an efficiency benefit for us as our tour. Do I have that correct?
Yes, you have that correct.
With that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. That's a really great explanation of like the day-to-day. But of course, disaster relief is another important part of what we do. And as we know, Governor Cooper has just declared a state of emergency with Ian possibly coming to disrupt our weekend starting tomorrow. So what does that look like? Charlie, can you explain how each food bank works and then how we work together? How does all of that happen?
Right. So yeah, certainly, Hurricane Ian, I guess now Tropical Storm Ian, moving off the coast of Florida, I believe now. And, there's still some uncertainty of the track and something that we're keeping our eye on. We certainly feel for the folks in Florida. That's a terrible event. And it certainly hits very close to home with us, having gone through a number of F storms in our history. from Floyd to Fran to Florence. Maybe the NOAA would retire the Fs at some point for North Carolina. But yeah, we're certainly tracking things and we're working together. Melvin and I were just chatting yesterday about kind of pre-staging some resources in the event that we are impacted. I mean, right now it doesn't look like it's going to be a hugely impactful event for our area, but maybe Western North Carolina. But yeah, we certainly will work together, make sure we're not duplicating services and efforts, as Melvin mentioned, not only in normal times, but during disasters. And, you know, Feeding the Carolinas, we're both a member of Feeding the Carolinas, which is all of the food banks in North and South Carolina. You know, the ED of Feeding the Carolinas, if they desire, they will activate this operations response or this disaster response team, which will kind of bring us all to the table across the state to talk about how we can share resources and even employees if one food bank is impacted and another isn't. So all those kind of things. And again, you know, we're so close to each other here, just a few miles apart. It's very easy for us to work together.
That's great. So how does, so it sounds, are those emergency boxes, hygiene items, what's involved with that?
Right. So, you know, certainly we, you know, having lots of experience with disasters, we know that the product type and needs of the community changes in the disaster response mode. You know, typically to begin with, it's things that don't need to be cooked, pop top cans, water, energy drinks, those kind of things. And then as you recover, it kind of evolves to cleaning supplies, and then you get back to the things you can cook and that kind of thing once power comes back on. You know, for us, we kind of pre-stage disaster boxes, what we call disaster boxes, which have some of these items in it. Beverages, water, we've got some of that stuff pre-staged now toward the coast. And, you know, work with Melvin and his team to see what resources they need and how we can share those resources to help each other.
Absolutely. So Melvin, where does Food Shuttle come in?
The Food Shuttle come in as part of the disaster relief team for Feeding the Carolinas. Because we have a commercial kitchen in our food bank, we also have a food truck. We provide the hot meals for some of the folks who are displaced, and we also provide the hot meal support for the members who are providing the support. So as well as when Charlie's team is deployed forward with the big trucks, our team steps in to ensure that none of the pickups are missed and that none of the service in our current area is disrupted because of the disaster that is happening in another region. So our communication is really good, and I think that's why we're able to collaborate and make this happen.
Got it. So this is our spinning plate food truck that folks may not have seen around at community events. So how is the spinning plate equipped for the hot meals, but it's also equipped for disaster? Can you tell how it's outfitted for that?
That is correct. The spinning plate is a full commercial kitchen on wheels. It has capabilities of providing an additional generator to make sure that we provide electricity so you can charge batteries, you can charge cell phones and other items. So we provide not only food, but a comfort space for you to relax while you're enduring this disaster.
Got it. That's great. Well, thank you for that. Well, that is great. That's a great explanation, a look under the hood of both the day-to-day operations and our disaster relief. So thank you both for that wonderful overview. So I want to dig a little bit deeper now. And talk about how we think about how we approach our work. And I think, you know, COVID, one thing, if there are any benefits to be had from the pandemic, I think there's a much broader, we can all agree there's a broader awareness now that there's a disproportionate impact on our communities of color, or our BIPAC communities, by systemic barriers generally, but also food insecurity specifically. And that's where, you know, we really have to think about where the rubber hits the road and how we think about what we do. And I know you both could share a lot about that. So how would you say, and Charlie, you want to start us off with that? How do we incorporate the voices of the communities we serve in what we do?
Yep. So yeah, listening, intentional listening. I think that it starts with that. We've got to hear what our partners have to say, and that's going to factor into the decisions we make. You know, I think the only solutions that are really going to work are those that are community informed and community driven. So hearing our partners. The Food Bank has a partner agency advisory council. The group actually met this morning. It's about 15 of the leaders of 15 of our partner agencies within our network. So they come together routinely to talk about what's going on. What are they seeing in their communities? and what can we do to help them? And does it mean different types of products are needed, or whatever? How can we support that? We're also seeking out opportunities to work with historically resilient communities like Latinx, Native American, and migrants. And one of the avenues in which we've done that is through our culturally meaningful food boxes. And so we've listened to our partner agencies. We survey our partner agencies regularly to hear what kind of feedback they have. That's another way in which we can kind of hear what the voices are in the community. We also have at the food bank a couple of internal committees, our Leon Committee and Cultural Impact Committee, which lead us to help guide us through this in our work. So those are kind of ways in which we do it. And learning, we're learning all the time.
No kidding. That's absolutely true. Well, thank you for that. So Mel, what would you add from the food shuttle side? How do we incorporate the voices of our communities and what we do?
I will echo Charlie through surveys as we do our meal distributions and work with our retail agency partners. We get that type of feedback, but also our employees, our ears and eyes out there. Our warehouse associates understand what is coming in, understands what are the needs for each of the different agency partners, and we tailor our distributions and what we send out to our community tailored to that. And a prime example with that is going to be listening to the voice of our community. As part of our food system framework is La Semilla, is a church, local church. During the last year or so, they have been communicating with us that they would love to see in distributions more peppers, more tomatoes, and all that. And what we have done, because we got this beautiful farm, we have been able to grow culture-specific products. So when we distribute that nutritious product out to the community, it's tailored specific to their need. Why? So in that way, we can maximize the product, we can maximize our effectiveness in the community, but also we reduce waste by providing the items that we know they're going to use.
Right.
As well as in our schools, we have a school site coordinator. That person coordinates between the schools and the food shuttle. If there's any need to adjust any of our school choice pantries, we can adjust the product to ensure that the product that is served or provided is going to meet the needs. Right,
because I think your counterparts in programs at Food Shuttle are starting a school site coordinator council.
That is correct.
Launching, is that what you're talking about with that?
Yes, that is correct. That is correct.
Okay, so that, and could you tell just a little bit about how that's going to work? Or
that's going to be the council is going to be where they're going to meet together. They're going to have some conversations of what is going right, what is going wrong, what needs to be tailored in the program. So we use that as a lesson learned, and we can practice better housekeeping rules.
Right. So, well, it sounds to me like based on what both of you are saying, this is very relationship-based work. Would you both agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anything in any particular examples stand out? You talked about La Semilla. Any particular examples stand out for food bank, Charlie? Or
one of the things that we've done in hearing the voices of the community is it's led us to change our most needed items list to provide in that list things that our agencies say they need, some more culturally meaningful items. So that's one of the ways in which we've been able to hear the voices of the community and then move that forward in our work.
Right, I got you. And you were talking about your pop-up markets before. What does that do for your operationally for food bank that you couldn't do before?
Right. So the pop-up market initiative, that's an initiative in our strategic plan that's really multi-pronged for the food bank. It's marrying data and where there's need, but no partner agencies within our network. And we engage a local church or somebody who has a parking lot that will let us use it for half a day. We engage volunteers, and then it gets to food bank into something we've not done much before until now, which is being on the front lines and doing distributions ourselves with our volunteers. And so we're finding gaps in service where there's need but no partner. That's one prong, and that's the normal kind of cadence of that type of the pop-up market initiative. Is that's the normal job that it's meant for. But we can only do a couple of those a week at each branch. And eventually we hope to build out 6 of these, one at each of our facilities. But you can only do a couple of weeks. So the other 3 days of the week, it provides some more hands in the warehouse or driving trucks if staff are called out. So it kind of builds in some cushion with staff outages and staff vacancies. We all know that the hiring market has been hard over the past couple of 3 years. And then the third prong, which is certainly related to disaster relief, if we have a disaster that severely impacts the area, what these we will halt the pop-up markets, and then we will rush these eventually 6 teams to wherever the impacted areas are to help with disaster relief. And that's going to come in very handy. We've only got 1 team so far. We're just in the 2nd year of our strategic plan. We're meant to build 2 more teams this year and then 3 teams in the 3rd year of the strategic plan. But, you know, if we can make it through this year and another year without hurricanes, we feel like we will really have some resources to move toward the coast or wherever the impacted area is, depending on what the disaster is. Because in the past, and certainly we've been through Hurricane Florence recently, and when that happened, Feeding America was able to rush in resources. I think we had about 35 or 36 people from other food banks who came and helped us during Hurricane Florence. And after the pandemic, you know, the network as a whole, I think, has been pretty stressed, and everyone's got disaster experience now, but not sure we can count on people, you know, with COVID still being about people coming to support. And so these pop-up market teams, when we pull them away from their normal and flood the area that's impacted, it feels like that's 12 people, 6 trucks and trailers that we'll be able to move strategically and deliberately to the areas impacted by a disaster.
Got it. So it sounds like going mobile is a big part of the strategy going forward and kind of deepening our understanding of the need. I mean, obviously, you're not going to necessarily hand out a survey during disaster relief. I mean, people are overwhelmed and you're not going to do that. But with mobile pop-up markets, spinning plate, you're actually able to get to places where agencies are not. Am I correct in that?
Well, in normal times, that's what we're doing.
In normal times.
Markets. With disasters, we're going wherever the need is. And you know, it may be to expand an agency's capacity for a food giveaway. It may be in a new location. Certainly, if it's in an area that already has pop-up markets, we could continue doing them if they're in the affected disaster area. But it would just mean more resources to come to bear to support the disaster relief efforts. Gotcha.
Okay. Well, then, so moving from that to looking at another piece of the food system that, you know, isn't perhaps not as well known as the food sourcing part of whether it's hunger relief or retail restaurant. Food sourcing is a big piece of the food system, and there's some challenges there for our under-resourced communities. Mel, do you want to talk a little bit about how we're dealing with that at Food Shuttle?
Yes, and real quick, I want to make a comment is that we do not have a shortage of food in our country. We have a logistical challenge because some areas do not have the places where they have the grocery stores. So this is where we come into play to be able to utilize our equipment and our forces to bring it there. So what we're doing with that as well is we're including now are under-resourced farmers. There's plenty of farmers out there that they don't have a venue to get their product out. And we're reaching to those individual farmers in our 7-county area. We're purchasing that product that are unable to sell, and it ties into the logistical problem. We're having those farmers dropping that product to local agencies. So that product stays there. The farmer will have an income stream and also is able to create any type of other jobs to support the community that is in need. So creates a logistical efficiency. It creates a bigger impact into our community. And at the same time, like I said, the farmer is going to have a revenue generating stream.
And then that also impacts anybody that farmer might need to hire. Is that correct? You were telling me that the other day.
Yes, that is correct, because now we are opening the opportunity for them. And an example of that, we have a local halal meat producer that is in Siler City. We have a community of refugees that require halal meat. So we were able to find them. We're purchasing some of the product for him. We're servicing the community that is in need, and that is creating jobs for an area that is already underserved. So it gave them an stability economically.
Great. Well, great. Well, thanks very much. Charlie, anything that you wanted to add? on that, on the food sourcing side for food bank?
Going back to the retail discussion Melvin was talking about earlier, retail recovery and our grocery stores in our service area, they are huge donors to the food bank and the food shuttle. And we certainly work together with those, as Melvin mentioned. We've had a lot of retail partners in our 34 counties. I think there's 300 and some 400 grocery stores, and we certainly do not have the manpower ourselves to get to those grocery stores 2 or 3 times a week. We want to service the donor. We want to make sure the donor's happy. We want to save food from the landfill. And so what we have done, and I'm sure the food shuttle has as well, is hook up these grocery stores with partner agencies that are in their area. A great example for us, Roanoke Rapids. We don't have a facility near Roanoke Rapids. And so if there's a Walmart, Food Line, whatever in Roanoke Rapids, we have a hard time getting there 2 or 3 times a week because it's a long ways away. But if we can hook them up with a partner who's 2 miles away, that is going to service the donor better, and they're probably going to maximize the potential of the donations because they're right there. They can be there in 5 minutes. So that's very helpful, and I think we have realized that in the growth of the retail program at the food bank.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you both for that. So looking ahead now, you both kind of alluded briefly to a strategy or a strategic plan. So what's on the horizon for both of our organizations?
A lot. There's always a lot.
I imagine,
right?
Charlie, you want to kick
That's
that?
right. That's right. Dream big.
Right. So the food bank, I think I mentioned we're in the second year of a 3-year strategic plan. Lots going on with that. Some initiatives. We talked about the pop-up markets. NC Local Love is a new initiative for the food bank where it's, we're taking a model that we learned through the pandemic, so this CFAP, Coronavirus Food Assistance Program, a program that spun up out of the middle of nowhere during the pandemic. And for us, it meant about 27 million pounds of food that we weren't expecting flowed through our food supply chain at the food bank over a 13-month period. And what was sold and was so interesting to us, and we did a fantastic job at doing it, I think, was truck-to-trunk model. Mm-hmm. And Melvin mentioned it just a minute ago, having a farmer take the food directly to a partner agency without the food bank getting in the middle of it, because that just slows things down. It's quicker, food getting quicker to our partners and then them to the individuals they serve. So it's a really great initiative, and it's our first year of doing it this year, and it's going like gangbusters. It's primarily meant for produce, right? I mean, North Carolina is a fantastic place for fresh produce, and we're so thankful for that. We have great growing seasons, and we're known. The food bank is known across the network as the sweet potato food bank. Because North Carolina is great at growing sweet potatoes, and they have a great shelf life. They are super nutritious and just check lots of boxes. And so we certainly engage the sweet potato farmers across our state. Some other initiatives, warehouse technology. We want to improve our warehouse technology. We're a bit antiquated there. We want to get in barcode scanners and pick slots and things like that. And then a really big initiative, maybe the biggest initiative of all the strategic plan, is infrastructure expansion. Before the pandemic began, we only owned one facility, the facility in Raleigh. We were beginning a capital campaign for a Wilmington facility, which is well on its way to being completed now. We'll be moving from about a 10,000 square foot facility with no height. We can not stack anything in our current Wilmington facility to a 31,000 square foot facility where you can stack 4 high. Wow. So the growth there is going to be extraordinary. During the pandemic, we moved from a 6,500 square foot warehouse in Newbern to a 26,000 square foot warehouse. Higher steel, so we can stack 4 high in that facility as well. So lots of capacity building there. We recently, or about a year and a half ago, purchased our Sand Hills facility and are doing some upfits there with refrigeration and parking lot and sprinkler systems and so forth. Some really good initiatives that are moving the organization forward. We have a new CEO, a new leader of the organization that will be starting in mid-October, which is really great. This will be only the 5th CEO of the food bank in our 42-year history, which is pretty amazing. We've had great continuity there and great leaders throughout the organization, and looking forward to the new CEO starting middle of this month. So lots going on. There's always curveballs that come at you, things you don't know in the world of food banking. You can't always predict everything that's going to happen, but, we figure out a way. Just like the food shuttle, we're super flexible in making sure we save food from the landfills and and are able to move it to, folks that need it.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Melvin, what do you want to add on the food shuttle side with that?
In the same way, we're in a second year of 5-year a strategic plan. One of the things that we love about our collaboration is that our board and our team has shared our strategic plan with the food bank. They have shared theirs with our board as well. We are connected by the hip on what we're trying to do here in our 7-county area because we want to be intentional and we want to be effective on what we do. So some of the other things that we're doing is that we're looking forward to continue our expansion on our rural counties, Edgecombe, Nash, that area, where we're starting more programs when it comes to senior hunger programs and senior education. And because our population that we serve is about 63% Hispanic, we have added in our community health department bilingual community health manager, May Cespedes, who's going to give us also capability to outreach and build a relationship and that trust with the folks in the community that we are going to be serving. And, as well, we continue to work on our EDI program. And again, collaboration between the food banks. We are sharing the same BP of EDI. We're sharing the same core values, and we're working together to continue to strive equality on everything that we do. And, last thing I'll mention is going to be that as we continue, Charlie continue to build buildings and grow his capacity, we're going to grow our capacity. But in this time, it's going to be in a vehicle. We're going to take a city bus. We're going to convert that into a mobile grocery market that is going to have a space towards the back that we can have small consultations with our nutritional team. And so that way we can help them nutrition-wise. The product that is going to be carried there is going to be low salt, no sodium. Those products are considered food to encourage. Lots of fruits and vegetables. So in that way, we can create a bigger impact, as well as teaching some classes on how to cook that product. So you learn how to create a meal on a budget, but just because it's on a budget, that doesn't mean that it has to be unhealthy. So how to create new plates where you can feed your family healthy, part of our feed, teach, grow, and cultivate. Got
it. So it sounds like food bank is really doing well with the pop-up markets are going to bring, just as that's going to bring so much to food bank. It's also sounds like this vehicle is going to be somewhat similar. It sounds like there's a market aspect, but also a small space set aside where our community health education staff can provide consultation if folks are interested on some nutrition.
Exactly. You can bring a product, but if you don't know how to cook it, you won't know what to do with it. So by providing the education, we're going to provide education. Now you're growing yourself as well as a self-sufficiency to be able to build something out of what we're giving you. Oh, so right. Yes. Okay.
So we're going to go now. I think we may have had some questions from some of our use Q&A. Use Q&A for your questions if you have any. And so we'll start off with our first one. Will Food Bank and the Food Shuttle be responding to neighbors in Florida?
Well, absolutely, we certainly will. I know before the hurricane season began, Feeding America staged a couple of loads of water at our facility in Newbern. So I'm virtually certain that will be requested at some point to be sent down to Florida somewhere. They will guide us on where that goes. I mean, I've been at the food bank a while, and I know back in 2005, Katrina hit New Orleans, and, the community response in the Raleigh area for that was tremendous. And, depending on what happens here with Ian and what the community response is, we collected food. People did food drives. We took several tractor trailer loads of product ourselves down to New Orleans back in 2005. So yeah, I'm sure we'll be responding in some capacity. And, we have contacts at food banks. We have friends down in Florida at Orlando Food Bank. I'm sure we'll, have some communications. And if there's something we can do to support, we will certainly do it.
Gotcha. That sounds.
And the same goes with us. It's going to be based on the call. We received the call. We are going to be there to support in any capacity that we can support. So.
Absolutely. So. All right. Well, is there anything else going on under the hood that you want to share with our listeners? Anything in particular?
No.
I think we've covered things pretty well. All right. Well, thank you all so much for being with us today. This is, we have one more day left in Hunger Action Month. So if you, you still have another 24 hours to take action if you haven't done so already. And if you already have, we thank you so much. And you all be safe out there this weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was